Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Texans Talk tonight. And boy, it is just so exciting to be able to say that I am making a Texans game preview video. Yes, the games don't count yet, but we've got Texans football in just, you know, days, maybe a matter of hours by the time you're watching this. Texans Packers Saturday, August 14th at 7 p.m. The preseason opener. Again, I know we're not at the regular season yet, but after a long, grueling period of time without a Houston Texans football game, ever since that kick in the Week 17 game against the Titans kicker kicked it off the post and in to beat the Texans at the end of regulation 41-38 in Week 17. We haven't seen a Houston Texans football game since that point, but hey, new beginnings, fresh starts, lots of new faces both on the coaching staff and on the field that I want to watch. So super excited to be making this video for you guys. I want to first just sit here and talk about the game in general, things I'm looking for, why I'm really, and I'm not just saying this just to say it, I mean this genuinely, that I think this is the most excited I have been for a Texans preseason ever. And I think that there's just a lot to look forward to, a lot of guys that I am really excited to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of competition going on during preseason in the running back room and the receiver room, who's going to be that receiver too. Playing time on defense. Obviously, we'll get to see the new look defense somewhat for the first time. Obviously, Lovie Smith's not going to give away too much in preseason, but still we'll see the new 4-3 look under Lovie Smith, see maybe a little taste of what that looks like maybe in the first quarter, but again, they're not going to give away too much of their defensive scheme in the preseason. But you get the point. A lot of new faces. Just really, I really am excited. It feels like it's a regular season game just in terms of how excited I am. I'm one of those people who watches all of the Hall of Fame game. I like preseason after a long drought without football. I welcome it. I like watching, maybe more unknown players, more, draft picks, rookies like we saw in the Hall of Fame game. We saw Micah Parsons, Najee Harris, first round picks for their respective teams get in. I love watching the young guys early. And I just love learning more about my team. I love seeing, the second string and third string guys at the Texans because, injuries happen, but even if not, it's just good to know the ins and outs of your football team as a fan, in my opinion. But now let's talk about this game. So it is at Lambeau Field, Texans Packers on Saturday at 7. Really, I think it's an interesting game just because you essentially get basically two rookie quarterbacks. Obviously, we'll see, I assume, a decent amount of Davis Mills, which I'll talk about him later in the video. But of course, on the Green Bay side, we finally get to see Jordan Love suit up and actually play in a game. So obviously, that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, this is a Texans channel, so I'm not going to talk too much about the Packers side of it. But just wanted to mention that me just genuinely as a football fan, I'm excited to see Jordan Love. And I know Jordan Love is excited to get out there because it has been a while since he has actually played in a game. So I know he'll probably get a lot of snaps. So, we'll see Davis Mills and Jordan Love for the first time for their respective teams. Another thing for the Texans, I want to see the running back battle. My first video I did was about our running back room and who I thought was going to be the number one running back. Go check that out if you haven't already. But I really do think that we've got a lot of guys that are kind of underrated, guys that are hungry to prove themselves. I think they're all going to get snaps. Honestly, I'm not the coach. I don't know, but I think we'll see some of David Johnson, some of Phillip Lindsay, some of Mark Ingram, and some of Rex Burkhead, and then more than that. So I think we're going to look at all the different guys of the running back room. I'm really excited to see those guys in action, see how they're used, and stuff like that, and just see, who kind of, stands out among the group. Because really, I have my prediction for who the Texans running back number one will be, but I think right now it's a pretty open competition. I think that's been a theme of Texans training camp. They want to generate competition. They want to bring guys in to make the players around them better. So running back competition, distribution of carries, who gets the most carries and who does the most with their opportunities in the running back room. That's something I'm watching in this preseason game. Also defensively, as I mentioned earlier, just kind of want to see that new 4-3 scheme, see what it looks like, see maybe how we'll use some guys who's going to play in the 2D tackle positions. I know, I've seen, Vincent Taylor up there on some depth charts, a new acquisition. Obviously, Whitney Merciless will probably still play the edge. We'll see how much of him we see on Saturday night, if anything. He's a guy who had a down year last year, so even if he could just look good in the few drives he probably gets in the preseason opener, I think that'd be really encouraging. Charles Omena, who I hope we get to see him at some point in preseason because he is a guy that I really think could break out. I think he'll make some plays on the edge, especially in the 4-3. Shaq Lawson, that's just going to segue into another thing. So Shaq Lawson, Kevin Pierre-Louis, Christian Kirksey, just all the guys that we added in free agency or by trades in the case of Lawson. I'm really excited to see them. I'm excited to see the new guys on defense, a lot of new faces on defense, and based on how our defense was last year, that is probably a good thing. So a ton of new linebackers, some new guys up front coming in to be a part of the new 4-3 scheme we have here. I'm excited to watch them. And again, I know this is a preseason game. I'm talking like about all the starters, but I really do think at least offensively a decent amount of them will play. But even defensively too, I think we're going to see a lot of different guys. So keep an eye out for the new linebackers. I'm just eager to see how they look. I mean, I can't really say much more than that because I don't have any Texans film on them. So just eager to see them, put on the pads and actually go out there and play as Texans rather than watching training camp press conferences or watching highlights from last year. It's going to be nice to see them, wearing our colors out there. So I'm watching the new look defense. I'm watching the running back competition. Something else I'm watching is the offensive line. I don't know. I doubt Tunsil and Howard will play that much, if any. But the new guys we brought in, Justin Britt coming back to the NFL after some time off. He seems excited to be here, and I think it'd be great if he could resurrect his career. Obviously, Nick Martin now with the Raiders, so new center likely will be Britt. Also, we brought in Justin McCray in free agency, and then also obviously the trade for Marcus Cannon. Although I know he was on the injury report at some point, so I don't know what's the deal with him, but. I think that was a sneaky good trade we had with New England to bring in a veteran like Marcus Cannon. He was one of the many Patriots players that opted out last year. But wherever and whenever we do see Cannon, I think that'll be interesting. So yeah, just the new mix of guys in the offensive line, who plays where. I've heard of Titus Howard. I think he said he's flexible, and I think they've been using him a lot of different ways at camp. Obviously, Tunsil, surefire left tackle, so I doubt we'll see much of him. But the young guys, Max Sharping, or the guys that we brought in, like McCray, like Justin Britt. How is it going to be an easy transition back into the NFL for him? He's basically doing what Gronk did, retiring and then unretiring. I don't know if he ever officially retired, if he was out of the league, but you get the point. Coming back, I think it's important that a guy like Justin Britt gets a lot of playing time in preseason, just because he has to get back up to the NFL speed. And I think if you just throw him into the fire as potentially your starting center for the regular season without a lot of preseason snaps, I think that could not go well. So I do expect Justin Britt to be a guy that gets a lot of playing time in preseason. At least that's what I would do. The guy literally didn't play at all last year, so got to get him back up to speed. So the new offensive line is another thing. So we've got the running back competition, the new guys on defense, and the new look offensive line, who plays where, how the guys perform. And again, I think there's still a few spots potentially left to be earned on the starting five for the O-line before we play Jacksonville to open the regular season on September 12th. But one more thing I'm watching, I cannot wait, and this might sound dumb, but let me explain. I cannot wait to just see David Culley on the sideline. Again, I didn't even know who the guy was when we hired him. I was really hoping for Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City. But we went with David Culley, didn't know who he was, and I heard he was the Ravens receivers coach, and I was like, well, Baltimore wasn't a great receiving team last year. They were kind of a run-first team, so, didn't really understand it. But again, that's why it's important to understand that, we don't actually get to sit down with these guys and meet them and get to know them like the guys who are hiring them do. And I think what I see in David Culley and what I've, really just been really impressed with and happy with is the way he just brings passion and energy. And, you say, oh, of course, of course he's going to, pretend to be all happy. I think David Culley, the dude's 65 and he's a first-time head coach. He's worked with a lot of great coaches, been on a lot of great teams over his career, seen a lot of great quarterbacks, and now he finally gets to be the guy. So, how would you not be excited? 65 years old and he's finally getting the head coaching gig. That a lot of NFL experience before finally getting to be the guy, have your team. So I'm happy for David Culley. I've really warmed up to him. I love his personality. I love his passion for the game. And I think, the Texans, I think, have acknowledged, and I think their fans have acknowledged, that we are going to be headed towards a likely rebuild. So we're going to need positive energy. We're going to need coaches who can develop young players, connect with young players, make players better, but also encourage them. I think David Culley is just the perfect personality for what we're trying to do. Build a new culture, start rebuilding, connect with players. David Culley just seems like a people guy and a player's coach. So I'm really excited to just see his emotion and energy on the sideline. Just look at the guy in his press conferences, especially right when he got hired. You could tell, like, he wasn't just saying he was excited to be here because that's what the new head coach is supposed to say. He really meant it. And I just think he is a really good person for the job. So the personality is there, the energy is there, the passion for football and the passion for getting to know players and connecting with them and making them better is there. Now we just got to see if the in-game performance is there from Coach Cully. So I'm excited to see him on the sideline. I'm excited to see the emotion and energy, but also, again, preseason, you're not going to give away too much, but I'm just excited to see, him go through the routine of the game, call the plays, see just what we get. Maybe, will he decide to, throw a challenge flag or something on a controversial play if he deems fit? Just kind of, we know David Culley as a person from the press conferences and from seeing all the mic'd up stuff from training camp, but now we get to see him, excuse me, as head coach David Culley, which I am really excited for. So those are a couple things I am looking for in Green Bay. Again, we're going to see a lot of guys. Also look out for those rookies. Hopefully we'll see some. I know for a fact we'll see some Davis Mills for sure. Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, I think will get some time on the offensive side. Nico's a guy that I think potentially could be a dark horse candidate to be the number 2 wide receiver for the start of the regular season based on what I've heard from camp. Really, he's a guy that I've warmed up to more and more after we drafted him. Really think he could be a nice deep threat, win those 50-50 balls for us. Brevin Jordan, another guy I think we got as a steal in the draft, and then the 2 defensive guys, Garrett Wallow and Roy Lopez. And Lopez is supposedly having a really good camp, but you do hear that about a lot of people, so take that with a grain of salt. So again, I think we really will see a lot of players. I think we'll see all 3 quarterbacks. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is just, I don't even want to get into that. He's probably not traveling with us to Green Bay, not going to dress for the game probably, so just don't even consider him. When I say all 3 quarterbacks, I mean Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, and Jeff Driscoll. I think we'll see all 3 of them. I think we'll see every prominent running back. I think we'll see maybe Brandon Cooks for a little bit, but then everyone else, I think we'll at least get a decent amount of time just because outside of Cooks being receiver number 1, the depth chart after that is kind of up for debate. You got Anthony Miller, who you brought in. You got Nico Collins, who you drafted. You got Chris Conley, who you signed in free agency. Kiki QT is still in the mix, who's flash potential. So we'll see. Really, really exciting. And now I am going to get into 5 specific players that I think we should be looking out for, and briefly tell you why. I'll try and not make this too long. Number 1 is Davis Mills, rookie quarterback. I just want to see him out there in game action. I've heard, just based on the things I've seen in training camp and just things I've seen reporters tweet, is that it's kind of been up and down, maybe bad day, good day, but that's what you expect for a rookie quarterback, especially the 3rd rounder. So I'm just looking to see Davis Mills in game action. See how he does with those routes over the middle of the field, the intermediate routes, the out routes, slant routes, just routes over the middle of the field. I feel like he was really strong with those. I want to see the decision making. How does he adjust the NFL pace of play? Is he able to move out of the pocket in time? Does he make the right reads? Just generally see what boxes he checks in the first preseason game. Rookie quarterback. We know Tyrod Taylor. He's a proven vet. He's we've got some film on him, but Davis Mills, this is his first NFL action, so I'm just excited to see, is he still good at what he was good at in college in terms of, the decision making for the most part, in terms of the, kind of game managing the offense, knowing his own abilities and trusting himself, and especially those intermediate routes over the middle of the field. I think he did a good job with that. Also, just a guy who I think has a pretty good knowledge of the game of football, and I think is a guy who has not reached his potential yet, so it's good that we've got a guy who still maybe has not reached his ceiling. So I'm just watching Davis Mills, super casually. It's preseason. I just want to see what our rookie signal caller can and can't do. Where is he at compared to what we see in his college film, and where we think he could improve based on what he does on Saturday. I do expect a decent amount of playing time from him, and I'm excited to watch him. So Davis Mills, number 1. Another guy, Nico Collins. I'd love to see Nico Collins get a lot of playing time. I really think that a lot of our receiving group is kind of based on speed, like guys like Cooks, guys like Anthony Miller, who we brought in. He kind of reminds me of Brandon Cooks. Actually, I might do a video on him later. And also, even Chris Conley's a pretty fast guy, along with guys like Isaiah Coulter, who we drafted last year, who's on the roster bubble. Generally, when you think of our receivers, you think of a lot of speed guys, but Nico Collins is more of a downfield 50-50 ball threat, like Will Fuller was. I think he was kind of drafted to be the next Will Fuller. So I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see him in one-on-one matchups. I'm excited to see him match up against NFL corners. And again, I think he's got a chance to be really good. I think that, again, he's a guy who opted out last year, so it's important to get him back up to speed, especially, he's a rookie, and he's an opt-out last year, so not only is he leveling up, he also didn't play college football last year, so just got to get him up to speed. Obviously, preseason, they always say the risk of injury, it's a fair point, but, I feel like last year we didn't have a preseason, and I feel like there were times where that showed, especially with younger players early in the season last year. So I really do want to see Nico Collins get some action. Want to see him run some fly routes, see if Davis Mills can hit those throws. That's something he was inconsistent with in college, the deep routes. I want to see Nico as a red zone threat, maybe with those fade routes. That's another thing Mills is good with. How about a Davis Mills, Nico Collins touchdown on like a fade route or something? That would be fantastic. But anyway, so Mills, Collins, two players I am watching. And another one is Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay is a guy who I think is going to be our number one running back. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the video I did on that, I think Lindsay is the only one of the significant Texans running backs, with that being him, Ingram, Johnson, and Burkhead, that in his case, I think he's the only one that he's got the best football of his career ahead of him. I think Phillip Lindsay is a guy who could be sneaky good for us. I think he plays the game well with good bursts, finds open running lanes well. He's a smart running back, generally takes care of the football. I'm excited to watch Phillip Lindsay in preseason and in the regular season. Again, I really do think we'll see all four of those guys that I just mentioned in this game at some point, because there's just a lot of spots left to be earned, a lot of playing time in the regular season left to be earned, and we're a rebuilding team, so we're going to want to see all the guys we got. So Phillip Lindsay, really, really excited for him in the regular season, but I hope we get a good sneak peek in the preseason. I think he's going to be a guy that might be better than people are expecting in 2021, so watch out for Phillip Lindsay. And then, let's see, we'll do a couple more. Oh, yeah, I think another one has to be Justin Reed. Again, he's a guy I don't think will play much, but he's a guy that I think is a bright spot on our defense. I think he's proven to be a solid safety. I just want to see him continue to get better, see how we use him in the new defense. Again, I don't think he'll play that much because he's probably a guy who's actually got a starting spot locked down. But I do want to see Justin Reed. I bet he'll play maybe a couple drives, if that. I just want to see him. I like him. He's one of my favorite players on our defense. So certainly Justin Reed is the guy that I'm looking forward to watching. And then, let's see. Obviously, I could go on and on and on, but I think that one more player that I would say I am really excited to watch is Jonathan Grenard. It almost feels like he's still a rookie because we just didn't play our rookies a lot last year, I felt like Ross Blacklock, Jonathan Grenard. Didn't really see much of them last year. At the end of the season, it got a little bit better in terms of how much we played them, but also, it got to a point where we were clearly not going to make the playoffs, clearly likely headed towards a rebuild, so we should have played the young guys more often, especially down the stretch, in my opinion. So I'm really excited to see Jonathan Grenard. I think he's got potential to be kind of a hybrid between a defensive end and a linebacker. So especially with that 4-3 defense, he could be lining up on the edge in that scheme on one of the two sides. I don't know which side it'll be, but also if he wants to be more of a linebacker rather than an end, he can maybe drop back into coverage. Again, I don't really have much to say about him because we didn't see much of him last year, but he's a guy that I know has got potential. He's one of the young guys on our defense that is hungry to prove himself in year two after seeing limited action in his rookie years. So he's another guy I'm looking forward to watch. But really, I could name almost every player on the roster if you give me enough time, but I know this video is probably already running a bit long, like a lot of videos I'm involved in both on this channel and my other channel that I do with my friends, the Touchdown Table. Go check that out. That's probably running a bit long. Or videos on that channel probably run a bit long because of me at times, but it happens. You put me in front of a camera and have me talk about football, especially the Texans, my favorite team. This stuff's bound to happen, so sorry if I'm boring you, but thank you if you're sticking around for this long. So again, I am really excited, honestly. I'm just going to wake up on Saturday morning, put on my Texans jersey, and yes, it's sad. Summer's ending. It's going to get colder in a little bit. School's starting. Bittersweet time, but hey, silver lining to all that, football is back. We made it for the first time since, what was that, the first week of January? It was right around, it was right around New Year's, I think, when we played, was it in December? It was right around New Year's. I don't know if it was just before or just after. We played the Titans, lost them in Week 17, finished a disappointing 4-12 campaign. Probably going to be another, losing record this year, but hey, we made it. Texans football's back. The offseason's over. Again, I know a lot of us are upset about having to go back to school soon or
just say goodbye to summer and say goodbye to late nights and late mornings if you're like myself. But hey, Texans football is back. Focus on that. Texans green bag. Just cannot wait to roll out of my bed on Saturday morning and just say we've got Texans football today. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch the players I just mentioned and more. I'm excited to watch Davis Mills and Jordan Love go head to head. I think they'll both get a decent chunk of playing time. And to end the video, I've got to do something that is pretty stupid to do for a preseason game, quite honestly. But I want to give you a score prediction. Let's see. I'm coming up with this on the fly. I got to think of. I'm gonna say that the Texans win. excuse me, 25-18. Because you know what? Why not? It's a preseason game. I think we're gonna come out there with a lot of energy. A lot of new guys looking to make a name for themselves. Coach Culley's gonna be out there bringing energy. And not to say the Packers guys aren't gonna want to prove themselves. Heck, Jordan Love hasn't played a game in like 8 billion years. So he's going to be out there having energy. But I think the Texans are going to come out high energy. I think we'll see some big names. I think Tyrod will play at least a couple drives. I think we'll see a little bit of guys like Cooks. I think the offensive line will, have a lot of unique combinations. But I just think we're going to come out there with high energy. Yes, it's preseason, but I think this team is just so excited to finally get out there, see the new look Houston Texans in uniform for a game, not just going against each other in practice with, just shoulder pads and helmets. Game time, night game, Lambeau Field. A lot of guys playing there for the first time. Davis Mills is going to be energized. He's just watching his press conference. He seems like a humble guy, but also a guy that wants to get better. So that's always a good combo. So you know what, Texans, they're going to come out there with energy and beat the Packers 25-18 in the preseason. That's my prediction. Although I do think it's going to be one of the better preseason games just because of the storylines that I've mentioned. Jordan Love, Davis Mills, new players on the Texans. The Packers, they've got some promising young guys too, but again, this is a Texans channel, so I'm not going to dive deep into the Packers. So there you have it. Again, the video probably ran way too long, but Texans, Packers, Saturday, August 14th, 7 p.m. Hopefully it ends with the Texans win, but actually in preseason, what's more important than a win, hopefully the Texans get better, they learn more about their team, and they learn more about what they want to do in the regular season. That will help them win games there, because again, preseason games, they don't count, but obviously, you'll take a win when you can get it, especially when you're not supposed to be that good in the regular season. And just remember, preseason games don't count, but they're not meaningless. There are guys that are playing for starting jobs. There are guys that are playing, to try and achieve their lifelong dreams. There are guys that are playing to just try and make the cut. And even if there's guys that probably aren't going to make the Texans, there's guys that are playing for the other 31 NFL teams. So yes, they don't count. They shouldn't be treated like regular season games, but they're not meaningless. Just ask a lot of the guys who play in them that aren't going to be starters in the regular season, guaranteed. I think you'd be surprised. There's a lot of guys that made a name for themselves in the preseason, and there's more than you may think. So again, games don't count. They're not meaningless. Texans, Packers, can't wait. Saturday night, go Texans. We made it. The offseason is over. It is Texans game week. Enjoy the game wherever you may be watching. And go Texans. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Texans Talk Tonight. We will see you in the next video.